The Dr. Char Holistic Health Show. You know, how many of you people here listening to us have allergies? And do you know what the cause of these allergies are? We're going to be talking about that. All kinds of stressors, we call that. And we're going to show you an actual movie on what constitutes a stressor. But let's talk about stressor that can cause allergies. Most of the people hear about the system. And the immune system says if your immune system is down, you're liable to catch all kinds of diseases and illnesses. But what constitutes a stress on the immune system? If your body is stressed, many different kinds of stress. It can be from your home, it can be from drugs that you take and supplements that you take. Yes, even the food you eat, the water you drink, your dental fillings, root canals, chemicals you breathe, and emotional, and also kind of behavior you have, mental stress. All these and much more can cause you to have your immune system bombarded and create what we call autoimmune disorders. Okay. So we're going to be talking about and define each one of them so you can kind of recognize it. And then after that, we're going to say, how do you get rid of it? No, we're going to have a seminar coming up on the 27th of March at Vim and Vigor. It's 27th of March this month, and we're going to be talking about and demonstrating how you can get rid of allergies without drugs and without needles. So let's talk about, again, the immune system. The immune system talks about it. Can you measure it? A lot of people can, you can't measure the immune system. We all talk about it, but there is no equipment, they say, that can measure your immune system. We know that the thymus gland is involved and associated with the immune system. When you get stressed, they say the thymus gland shrinks, and it's very tiny, and it's located right here below your collarbone. So, what affects the thymus gland? Well, on a physical plane, you can be stressed. And what happens when you're stressed? Your body doesn't produce hydrochloric acid. Your body, adrenal glands get stressed out. It affects your brain. And the whole body collapses. And a lot of people have the problems. Okay. But is it only from that stresses that you have in your daily life? Well, what if you live in a house and you have all these different kind of lights and TV and microwaves and everything? Everybody says, most of the population have microwaves and ice boxes and junction boxes, that all the power coming in. But that can cause what we call like in EMF, okay? And EMF is electromagnetic frequencies. And well, you ever had to live next to a tower? If you ever did the research and people live by the tower, a lot of them get sick. A big tower with a lot of power of energy going into that tower and emits it into the homes. So, yes, even your fluorescent lights have some kind of effect on stressors. They did a study with Dr. John Ott years ago, and he wrote the book called Plant and Light. And what happened is a group of young first graders, and for 4 hours they had them under the fluorescent lights. And you know, in fluorescent lights, when that yellow light hits you for an extended period of time, it drains your energy. And these children, by lunchtime and after lunch, started getting really hyper. And some of them even tired because they're tired, and so you got to get them into a nap. So they have to go and sleep and rest so they can be rested. When about 1 or 2 o'clock, they can be, again, calmed down. But a lot of times they don't. So they use the full spectrum lighting. And they found out they made a magnificent change in their attitude, their behavior. And so they said, it can create stresses. Okay? So what happened to your junction box? Do you ever look at your junction box and how much power is coming in from the outside source into your home? Have you ever stayed close to a junction box, if you put your foot on a wire coming off from an electrical circuit, you weaken. And how do you know? Sometimes people do what we call kinesiology, and they test you. Oh, there's some energy devices using acupuncture invitation, and you can see the circuit just drops off. The meridian drops off, and people get extremely tired, or they start getting some other ailments start to happen to them. You know, maybe pain in the side, or in the headaches, or things like that. So now, what are we going to do about it? See, that's where you come to our seminar, and we're going to be talking about that. We're going to show you, but there are some what we call electrical devices that you can neutralize. You can balance out these EMF frequencies coming into the home, in the junction box especially. And so, yes, you got to look at your home. Now, what about your home? What if your home have a lot of different angles in there? My home is a lot of different angles. I have a home that doesn't have very many walls. It looks like a department store. It's like a step down, step up, but it's all one without too many walls. And so there's many different angles. If you study physics and you study geopathics, you can see that those can cause distorted energies in the system. Now, how does it affect a person or family in there? You're going to know that the family, when they get in there, they get some stresses and they have difficulty in their behaviors and getting along, and they're very stressful. And when they change that attitude, they change the whole concept of the whole outlay of the home and put certain things in certain corners and just change the angles. All of a sudden, the energy increased and people started feeling better. And that's why people say, you got to get a feng shui master. He'll go into your home, and what he'll do is he'll find energy pockets that are in balance. Some people use dowsing sticks. They use a dowser, and he goes in there now, and the stick crosses, and he says, whoa, the energy is poor there. See in front of a big TV set, and in back of a computer monitor, you'll see that. So, what about the supplements you're taking? You think all the supplements you're taking is compatible with your body? You think it is because it's an organic supplement. But yet, a lot of them are not made properly. You know, the world is about 75% yin. Did you know that? The people can actually, they plant these, before it becomes a supplement, they have to get like a plant or a mineral, and there's a certain area in the world that's yin. That's negative energy. And so they put it in carts, send it off to the factory, and the factory starts to produce it, make your supplements, your vitamins, your minerals. And what happened is the energy has been with all these different kind of frequencies with a yinish. And you need yang, and what happens? You get sick. But then you say it's a natural organic supplement. Well, so you have to be careful what kind of supplement you take. Not everything that you buy in the store is natural, means that it's good for you. You have GMOs in there. A lot of times it's called genetic mutative organism. And you find in a lot of the food that's radiated, that's they're putting different chemicals in there, and it becomes a GMO. And how do you get rid of it? That can cause you allergies. It breaks down the immune system. The immune system gets so stressed out, get overloaded, and cause autoimmune disorders. So therefore, it's what we call an allergy stressors, and we'll be showing you that in a minute. Okay. So the food you eat. What about the water you drink? Okay, people say, well, tap water. Hawaii has the best tap water. Yes, we have a compared to the rest of the world. Yes, but there's a lot of elements in it. There's bacteria, there's all kinds of things. You know that the water in Hawaii, they can filter it out, maybe 35–40% of some of the impurities. Okay, but what about the rest of it? So, and then also you're talking about tap water. The pH might be very acidic, depending on what the water goes over. It could be a bit of minerals, which can create acidic or dirt or whatever it is, and it can cause it to be very acidic. And your body wants to be more alkaline, all right? And so you get more chance to get diseases, okay? Oxygen potential, reduction potential. You got to get oxygen in the water. That's what makes your cells work good, okay? And so without that, it's a toxic waste. And becomes a toxic waste, yeah, water, yes, and low pH, and your body gets into an allergy state, all right? So, what about the fillings in your mouth? You know, everybody's worried about fillings nowadays. I'm a dentist for 47 years, holistic dentist, and you know, I retired 3 years ago to go more into research and development, which I'm doing now, and we use high-tech equipment to detect it. And we'll talk about that more as we go along. So dental fillings, yes, and it doesn't only have to be mercury fillings. It can be your gold. You can have copper in there. You can have palladium in there to make the gold hard. And a lot of people are sensitive to palladium. What partial dentures you have, where you take it off and put it back on again, those can have nickel in there. And you take it and it's going 24/7 in your mouth, it can cause you some toxicities. What about the chemicals you breathe? The things you spray around in the yard, household products that you use to clean up your sink and clean your toilet out and things like that, you know, Lysols and all. A lot of them have chemicals and you breathe that and it can cause a lot of what we call allergy stressors, okay? What about the clothes you wear? You know, people say, oh, a lot of people only have to take cotton. Cotton is supposed to be the best. But there's some like mixed on rayon and synthetics, and some people can't take it. But here's a big thing that we found out. Some of the labels that's made in a foreign country, and they have the labels on their clothes, and the ink that they use creates, and it's rubbing on your body, it causes a lot of people with allergies, would you believe? And even the socks you wear. So I don't want to get you paranoid, because what it'll do, everything is chemical, everything is creating allergies. What about the behavior you have? People talking to you and they say the wrong things and you get stressed out, okay? That can affect the body in terms of a stress and create system go down. And the mental stress you have, what you work in. And you know, a lot of people are now getting laid off or they don't have a job. That's a mental stress. And that can create the body's immune system to drop. Now, if you were very healthy and your immune system was very strong, you know, people be coughing around you, and a lot of times that you're exposed to a lot of people who are sick in your work. Why aren't you sick? You know, if your immune system is strong enough, you can actually avoid a lot of illnesses. And that happened in the bubonic plague years ago in Europe. Well, a lot of people were dying from the bubonic plague. And what happens? Doctors were treating them. And a lot of doctors didn't get sick. They were overworked. And when they started getting overworked, then the people started getting sick. All right? But why didn't everybody in Europe die when during the bubonic plague? Because the immune system in a lot of people were strong. And sometimes it comes in from what we call the genetic genes or constitutions. Yours might be strong. And they did a study before of different types of people. And people have more, say, more conservative, they're more passive, they're weak. They call them weak people. That's not, I don't say it's weak people, but what did happen? And they began to be associated with somebody very arrogant, very possessive, things like that. Those people who were on the weak side, they say, or the people passive, they started getting sick. They started catching on disease. Why you have an epidemic, and some people, like, say, 10 people went to, say, they had sex with a prostitute, and then only 3 people got carried around. What about the other 7 people? See, because it has to do with the match of their basic body chemistry and the genetic thing, the genetic characteristics. So it has a lot to do with it. So you got to look at the overall picture. You got to look at everything. And that's why we use high technology now, because we can scan your body in 4 minutes with the devices we use. It's now high tech. And so before everything we could do kinesiology, we can put your, use your hand, people different ways of doing muscle testing, things like that. And a lot of people still do it. And if that, you can do it. But how many people can test 2,000 different stresses at one time? That's why we use high technology. So that's what we do. This kind of practice. And it's called evidence-based medicine. So getting back to the allergies, there's so many ways you can get allergic reactions. And we don't give drugs, we don't give needles, okay? So we test you, and now the best way is first of all, you got to identify it, what all these stresses, what all the things I talked about, from the house to the drugs to, drugs can give you secondary reactions, and and that can cause you a lot of different kind of stressors, which creates problems with this, with the immune system, defense system in your body, and our body succumbs. Okay, you got to find a way to do collectively all these different stresses, and we're going to show you what those are. And when you find all, first of all, locate them, find out what it is, isolate them, identify them. And once you identify, now the next question is how do you treat them? You got to balance them out. And the principle of homeopathy, they balance things out. That's when you take a homeopathic remedy. What it does, it works, it balances it out, like versus like. And so you balance that out, and once that out, it no longer becomes an aggressive stressor. It becomes basically, it balances, it kind of zeroes it out. And that's how homeopathy works. Okay? And so you can do that with all elements that you touch, like you can get the ground salt, you even get the fog, you can do all that, and you can get all those stresses and neutralize them, and whatever it doesn't neutralize, then get the right type of remedies, right type of treatments to purge it out of the system from 4 parts. The brain, which is the emotional, mental, and physical, and even some of the spiritual things, but we don't get into, because you need some spiritual guidance. You need a belief system. If you have a belief system and you're very strong and staying healthy and very positive, you will be healthy, providing you take care of all these different stresses we talked about. Okay, so very important. Again, let me reiterate again. You have to identify the stress, and once you identify this, you can balance them out, neutralize them, and then you can be able to be healthy with a healthy mind and body. Okay, so we're going to show you a video on what stresses are.